Ladies, gentlemen, and of course everybody in between, welcome back to the Electrek Garage. I'm your host, as always, Declan Cav, and today I'm going to be giving you my most unbiased opinion I can possibly give on this 1980 Unique Mobility Electrek, my personal 1980 Unique Mobility Electrek. This is actually the first time you guys are seeing my 2+2. You've seen my panel van, but this was the other body style that you can get the Electreks in. Isn't it beautiful? Has some wider hips, and you got the back seats going for this one. You can actually see a very in-depth review of this car on the Out of Specs review channel. I'll leave a link below, or if you want to hear me rambling for about 45 minutes about this car, or you can stay here and watch this 20-minute video about this car. So I bought this Electrek about 5 years ago, 2019, and before I owned it, it belonged to a guy named Ken Jones, and he kind of just left it sitting in a field. This car started its life being sold to a company in Arizona called Amfab Conversions, and they used it as a show car for their business. They just kind of slapped their logo on it and called it good. After they were done using it in the 90s, it was sold to Jim McCullough, a name you might recognize. He was my mentor for teaching me how to work on these cars. He drove it until the battery pack kind of crapped out, and then it was parked in a field by Ken Jones in the early 2000s until I came along in 2019 and bought it. When I bought it, it was not running. It needed new batteries. It needed some controller work. It needed some wiring work. It needed a lot of cosmetic work. But now it remains to be one of 3 Electreks in existence that still drives, and arguably one of the best looking Electreks in existence. They usually don't look this good. They're usually pretty garbage. People don't take care of these cars. I'm kind of the only one. That and Jimmy. Jimmy's cool. We like Jimmy. All right, let's take the car for a quick drive. And we'll talk about why this might not be the best daily driver in its current condition. So we turn the car on. Hear the clicks of the relay. That's how we know we're on. And being an electric car, even with the manual transmission, it doesn't idle. So we can take our foot off the clutch and we're perfectly fine. Also, it can't stall. So we can actually go into whatever gear we want. I tend to start in second gear because it's just the easiest. And actually leave it in second gear for 90% of the driving. Between second and third is usually perfectly fine. It doesn't help that the shifting in Electreks is awful. I've never run into an Electrek that shifts well. And I think that's just a feature of the car. But yeah, it drives just like any other car. You do use the, here. There we go. You do use the clutch a lot less than you do in a regular gas car. And that's because this car obviously has regenerative braking. The car can slap itself with the motor. So you don't have to use the clutch when coming to a stop. You can use the regen braking instead. You can hear probably that there are a lot of creaks in this car. You can hear a lot of the rocks kicking up into the fiberglass bottom of this car. It is literally a big fiberglass tub in here, so it's very, very loud, and yeah, it does have that nice horn. So this is Electrek VIN number 11, and in the Electrek world, our very small community of like 3 people, we do think that the VIN numbering is actually based on body style, so we say that this is 2+2 VIN number 11. This is a 1980 model year, which means you get some slightly different things, like a slightly different metal thing on the dash. You get a JVC radio, and for the hairdryer, they spray painted it black so you can't see the Gillette branding anymore, which is lame. Also a few small changes under the hood, nothing major. It is also worth noting that the JVC radio in this thing does not work. Yeah. It seems that it's developed a new issue that whenever I turn the steering wheel at a certain degree, it honks. It didn't do that before today. So let's go through the specs of the car before we go under the hood. This car runs off of a single electric motor. It's a DC shunt motor from General Electric's, 32 horsepower and 80 pound-feet of torque. This thing is not powerful. The instructions clearly say you're not allowed to tow anything with this car. Not that you could. The range on this car is advertised to be 100 miles at a constant rate of 45 miles per hour, and that comes from its 16 kilowatt hour lead acid battery pack. That's 16 6-volt lead acid batteries wired in series, and the ones in this car are brand new. So if you buy this car, you get brand new batteries. Although I will say 100 miles is very optimistic and probably not achievable. I don't know, I've never done a real range test, but it's probably not that. 0 to 60 on this car is never been recorded, or at least as far as I'm aware, but they do say that the 0 to 30 is 9 seconds. It's not a fast car either. This car doesn't have a lot going for it. Yeah, those are the specs. But yeah, you can get this thing, like I said, it'll go up to 75 miles per hour. I choose to generally not go that fast though, because it doesn't feel like it likes to do that. Also, the brakes in this car are a little vague at times, and also you can sometimes accidentally pull the steering wheel off. I don't think that's supposed to happen, but I have never fixed that. I also don't drive this car as a daily driver, so it's not always the biggest issue. Shifting in this car is not something that you want to do very often, because like I said, shifting in an Electrek is not a good experience ever. I've never run into an Electrek with a good shifter. The closest I've ever had to a good shifter in an Electrek is what I have in my panel van, and that's because I had it professionally rebuilt and redone. That's a shout out to Rory in Simi Valley. Coming around to the back of the car, it might look like there's this flap back here. It is a coupe, but it looks like it might have like this storage container, like it's a sedan. However, that is not what that is. That's just access to the batteries, and it's actually a 2-person job to open up, and so I can't get it open right now by myself, but I'll get some footage of it later. But yeah, you're not allowed to put stuff back there. It'll just fall right out of the bottom of the car. That's just where the batteries are. All right, moving to the inside of the car, it's weirdly comfortable. And I'm not joking when I say that this is one of the most comfortable cars I've ever sat in. And a lot of people who will sit in this car agree with me. These seats are extremely plush, and they hug your body so well. The story goes from John Gould, the guy who started the company, is they just found these seats in a magazine and said, yeah, those look good for our car. They're extremely nice seats. They're almost sporty in their feel. The car feels a lot larger on the inside than it actually is, because you got this massive center console where the batteries are, and so your passenger feels a lot farther away from you because you're crammed right up against the door. That is part of the problem of being in this car, is you are right up against the door, but it is padded, and it kind of works as an armrest. This dip in the door in that window actually feels like a decent armrest. These windows do open. When I first learned about Electreks, I wasn't sure if the windows opened or not, but they do. They pivot right open like that. I'm actually gonna leave that open because it's hot in here. You don't get really any creature comforts in this car. The seats are adjustable. You can move them forward and back, and you can tilt them, although it's very difficult to do when the car is when the door is closed, because it's crammed right in here. I'm not even gonna try to do it. It's too uncomfortable. This car is a 2+2, which means that we have 2 seats in the front and 2 seats in the back. Yeah, I'm gonna cram myself back there. We're going selfie mode because I'm the only one filming here today. So let's do it. Open the door. There's this lever back here that you pull up. I broke it. Okay. Let's ignore that. You push it down. It doesn't pull up, you pull it down. Seat folds forward. All right. You got your leg room back here. You can see that these seats are actually built directly into the body, interestingly enough. So these rear seats aren't removable. They're part of the body. All right. Now I'm just gotta climb in and squeeze into the back here. All right. Get my other foot in here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And then pull. Yeah, no, that's not, this seat's not gonna be going. Okay, like that. That's the back seat in this car. There's 2 of them. It's a seat. You get a seat belt. I'm going to be full honest. The back seats in this car are not usable for an adult. Although, you do get headroom. I mean, it's better than the headroom in the Volt. I'm going to be full honest. Legroom, not so much. This is the normal sitting position where I'd be if I were driving the car. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be putting adults back here for any length of time. But it is a 4-seater. You do kind of have these bucket-esque seats back here. Let me flip it. So you can kind of see they do kind of hug you. I'll be full honest. You got these nice padded walls to rest your arm on, and you do get your own big window. I mean, besides the legroom, it's not bad back here. A weirdly comfortable car, but the back seats, not so much. Uh-oh. I closed the door. Okay, this is I gotta reach up here, get the door. There we go. Whew. It's a process. To charge the Electrek, all you got to do is you got to come up to the front. You just take your normal 110 volt outlet. It does take a 20 amp circuit though, and you just plug it in. You can hear a relay click under the hood, and you can hear the slight hum of the car charging. It takes about 12 hours to charge from 0 to 100% in this car. It doesn't feel super slow when you're driving. It doesn't feel fast, I should say that. It doesn't feel fast, but it has some power to it. It has some torque to it. Honestly, there's not a ton to say about the driving experience. It's pretty not great, I'll be full honest. I have also been kind of spoiled by the lithium Electrek that I did over the summer. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it, but I did convert an Electrek to lithium, and that made the driving experience so much better, because one thing that this car does have a ton of is range anxiety inducing features. This car is claimed to have a 100-mile range at a constant rate of 35 miles per hour. I don't think it can do that. Honestly, I've never range tested an Electrek, but I have killed them before. The batteries have died in my Electreks before while I've been driving them. I would say a realistic range is maybe 50 to 70 miles. But even then, you're always thinking about the low range in this car when you're driving it. It doesn't feel comforting in the electrical drive system in this car, because you know you're running on golf cart batteries. At the end of the day, this is a car that's driving on golf cart batteries, and you think about that when you're driving. But overall, it's a fine driving experience. I apologize for the overexposure that's been happening this whole time, but yeah. I don't know why it's doing the horn thing now, but I guess you can hear the horn. That's what it's like to drive an Electrek. Let's pull it back in here. It is worth noting the clutch on this car is still pretty good. That's because you don't really use it all that much. But that's what it's like to drive an Electrek. Not much to it. Also, I would do a longer drive, but I just do not trust this car. We'll do a longer drive in the lithium Electrek one of these days. Now, of course, we can't talk about the Electrek without talking about the styling of this car, because it's a style, all right. This is actually not what the Electrek was supposed to look like. In fact, I have pictures of what the original prototype looked like. It was originally called the Alta, and it looked like that. I don't 100% know what went wrong, but from what I've been told, it's all budgetary. The reason that the windows are looking like this is because it was cheaper to have a pivoting window than a roll-down window, and the body was just cheaper to make this way than what the Alta was. So we ended up with this lumpy fiberglass, looks like it's melting in the middle car. Yeah, it's styled all right. On the dash here, we have our speedometer, some warning lights, our light control, our hazard control, our DC amp gauge, our DC volt gauge, a few more warning lights, and a capacity meter that doesn't really tell you anything. It's kind of useless. Then you have your JVC radio and your shifter. The radio is actually an upgraded option. You have a what is this? A blind shade thing here. It's kind of grimy. It hasn't aged well. You have a nice big rear view mirror with a dimmer, and you get one mirror on your side. You get it on the driver's side. You don't get a mirror on the passenger side. You also get a sunlight roof that opens. Every Electrek came with a sunlight, so that's pretty cool. Nothing on the steering wheel. You get your blinkers, you get your wipers. That's it. That's really all there is to this interior. The front seats are very comfortable. The back seats, they're there. But yeah, seriously, a good, comfortable interior. And it's the most electric. When you look at electric cars of the time, when this thing came out, you got stuff like the city car. And the city car was not a car. This, you sit in it and it feels like you're in a car. A weird car, sure, but a car. It feels like a car in here. Driving position is okay. The steering wheel is not adjustable, and I do feel that it's a little bit low. It does kind of hit my knee. I am a 6'3" guy, but it's honestly pretty, it's fine. It's fine. Talking about the price of the Electrek, if we adjust for inflation, this car would have cost $82,000. That's insanely expensive for a car like this. I mean, sure, it's not like the glorified golf carts of the Vanguard Sebring City car, but those did cost as much as a Beetle. No, this car cost as much as a Mercedes. And you weren't getting a Mercedes. This isn't a Mercedes. It's pretty far from that. But yeah, this car, if you adjust for inflation, was $82,000 if you bought it brand new. Very few people did. Very few of these ended up in the hands of customers. Now, the number of Electreks that were ever made is kind of unknown. I've been told a lot of different numbers. John Gould claims 50, but then Ray Gides claims 75. Some people claim 35, but 50 seems to be the average general consensus of numbers of Electreks ever made. Most of them being the 2+2 body style. As of today, in 2023, as of filming this video, there are 13 known to still exist, and those are what I've found, and you can go see most of those on my website. Some of you can't because the owners have chosen to keep them private. But I can confirm of 13 of these still in existence. Of those 13, 3 still drive. That is my car, my panel van, and a guy in California who has a Tesla Model 3 long-range battery in his car. Cool guy. His car is actually the brother of this car. But yeah, there's only 3 left driving, which makes this thing all the more special because it drives and it exists. So that's what it's got going for it. Overall thoughts on the Electrek, if I'm going to be honest, it's a pretty terrible car. And I just love it. I mean, it's hard to give it an honest review because you got to think of what the state of electric vehicles was back in the 80s and yep, there's that horn again. And what this car is. You know, this car was revolutionary for the time. This was a Tesla, you know? So in a 2023 standpoint, this car is god-awful, a terrible car. But if we're looking at it in the context of when it came out, it is a very revolutionary electric car that is responsible, maybe indirectly in a lot of cases, but it did influence the design of future electric cars. So you got to get it some credit for that. This thing does suck to drive without the lithium battery, so I've definitely been spoiled by that. But yeah, I really do love these cars. I mean, obviously, you kind of got to love them if you have them. There's really no upside to owning an Electrek. Except it's cool. Because why not? Why would you not own an Electrek? They're super cool. I love these cars. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry it was a bit of a shorter one. I just have not had the energy this week for content creation, but we'll get back into it. Coming soon to my channel, hopefully, is going to be weekly shorts. So if you use YouTube Shorts, I will be doing weekly 30-second to 1-minute episodes where I will be going through and simplifying the systems in an electric car. So if you want to know more about how electric cars work, it's going to be more of a more serious tone, more educational tone every week on my YouTube Shorts. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm working with professors to write the content. It's going to be super fun. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, make sure you check out my shorts. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It means a lot to me, and I can also exploit you for the ad revenue. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Love you!